She said she still believed in us, but belief isn't love, it's what you say when you're afraid to admit it's already gone. The first thing that faded wasn't her laughter. It was the way she used to look at him when she spoke, like every word she said mattered to him, and every silence between them was safe. Now, the silences feel heavy, like something you could drown in if you're not careful. He wakes up before the sun, like he always does. The apartment feels colder these days, not because the seasons changed, but because the warmth that used to live here has learned to hide. The air smells faintly of the jasmine candle she loved, it's half burned, gathering dust on the counter. The coffee machine hums quietly, and when he pours a cup, his fingers brush against the mug she always used. It's chipped at the rim. She used to tease him about that, say he never handled anything gently enough. Maybe she was right. The little things start to stand out more now. Her coat still hangs by the door, though she hasn't been by in weeks. Her scarf, that pale blue one he bought her last winter, rests on the chair where she left it after their last fight. It's strange how absence has a way of leaving fingerprints everywhere. He runs his hand over the fabric, and for a second, he can almost feel her there, her warmth, her scent, that familiar calm she carried without even trying. They used to talk about everything. Books. Music. The kind of people they wanted to become. Now, their conversations feel like polite exchanges between strangers, updates instead of connection. She says, "How was your day?" but never waits for the answer. He says, "I miss you," and she replies with silence that says she doesn't know what to do with that kind of honesty anymore. The last time they met, she smiled too much. That's how he knew something was wrong. It was the kind of smile you wear when you're trying to convince yourself everything's fine, tight, polite, unconvincing. When he reached for her hand across the table, she didn't pull away, but she didn't hold on either. That half-second of hesitation told him more than any words could. He starts overanalyzing every detail, the shorter texts, the late replies, the softer tone when she says goodbye. It's not anger he feels. It's the ache of watching something beautiful die quietly, without a scene, without closure. Just distance, disguised as patience. Some nights he scrolls through their old messages. He stops at one she sent a long time ago. "Promise me we won't lose what we have." He smiles bitterly, because promises are easy when you still believe you're unbreakable. He doesn't blame her. Maybe she's just tired. Maybe love is heavier to carry when the world expects you to be strong all the time. As he sips his coffee, the first light of morning spills through the window. It lands on the empty chair across from him, her chair. The one that used to hold laughter, warmth, and her quiet presence. Now, it holds only the ghost of what used to be. He whispers into the stillness, almost afraid to hear his own voice. "Maybe you already gave up. You just didn't say it out loud." The silence doesn't answer. But somehow, that says everything. It's one of those evenings that looks perfect from the outside, the kind that makes the world feel slower, softer. The sky is painted in streaks of gold and rose, the air heavy with the faint scent of rain that never comes. They're sitting on her porch, the one with the wooden steps and wind chimes that never stop singing. It should have felt familiar, comforting even. But tonight there's something off, something quieter than usual. She sits beside him, legs crossed, her wine glass held delicately between her fingers. The way she swirls the glass tells him everything. She's stalling, buying time, waiting for something to pass, maybe a feeling, maybe him. He talks about work, about a friend who got engaged, about anything that might fill the silence. She smiles at the right moments, nods when she's supposed to, but her eyes drift, to the sky, the street light, anywhere but him. Her attention used to be grounding. When she looked at him, he felt seen, not for what he did, but for who he was. Now, he can't even hold her gaze long enough to find the warmth that used to live there. It's not anger he feels, not yet. It's the quiet panic that comes when love starts slipping through your fingers and you don't know how to stop it. A soft breeze rolls through, brushing a strand of her hair against his arm. He freezes, waiting for her to notice, for her to laugh like she used to and tuck it behind her ear while saying something playful. But she doesn't. She just lets it stay there, unaware, or maybe pretending not to be. The contact that once sparked everything between them now feels accidental, unwanted. He doesn't move it either. He's afraid that if he does, the moment, whatever fragile thing is left of it, might break completely. He watches her from the corner of his eye. The way her thumb traces the rim of her glass, the way her shoulders rise and fall when she sighs softly, these are small things, but they hit like thunder. Because he remembers when those gestures meant something. When every glance and breath carried meaning. Now they're just movements. Empty and polite. He tries to lighten the air. "You're quiet tonight," he says gently. She smiles again, that careful, practiced smile. "Just tired." It's a simple answer, harmless on the surface, but he feels the weight behind it. Tired doesn't just mean exhaustion. It means distance. It means letting go without saying it out loud. The evening grows darker, and the porch light flickers on. She stands first, stretching, setting her empty glass on the railing. "I should head in," she says softly. No kiss. No touch. Just a faint scent of her perfume lingering in the air, familiar but fading. He stays seated, staring at the space she left behind. The sound of her footsteps fades, replaced by the low hum of crickets and the soft sway of wind chimes. He realizes that somewhere between the laughter they once shared and the silence they now live in, something shifted. Something unspoken broke. And as he finally gets up to leave, he glances back at the porch, at the chair beside his, now empty, and thinks to himself, "Love doesn't end in arguments. It ends in moments like this, when the person beside you forgets to look your way." It's past midnight when his phone lights up. Her name glows across the screen, familiar, electric, dangerous. For a moment he hesitates. He's been waiting for this call for days, but now that it's here, he's not sure if he wants to answer. Still, he does. Because some habits don't die, no matter how much they hurt. Her voice comes through soft, controlled. "You're still awake?" she asks, as if she doesn't already know he always is. He tells her he couldn't sleep. There's a pause. He can almost hear her smile, that quiet, practiced kind, before she says, "You think too much." He laughs under his breath, running a hand through his hair. "I have to. It's the only way I can still feel close to you." The words come out sharper than he meant, and the silence that follows feels colder than any argument. She sighs, that slow, weary sound that's half frustration, half sadness. "You're reading into things again," she murmurs. He can picture her sitting on her bed, one hand on her temple, her voice steady but her heart somewhere else. "We've both been busy. It's not that deep." He closes his eyes. "It's not deep because you stopped diving." The line goes quiet. Too quiet. He can hear her breathing, shallow and uneven, as if she's holding back something she doesn't want to admit. "I don't know what you want me to say," she whispers eventually. "That I don't care? That I've changed?" Her voice cracks slightly on the last word, and that small fracture makes his chest tighten. "Maybe I just don't know how to do this anymore." Her honesty hurts more than denial would have. Because there it is, the truth he's been avoiding. Not a lack of love, but a loss of direction. Two people still connected, but drifting in opposite currents. He leans forward, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor. "Then tell me that. Don't pretend it's fine. Don't leave me halfway." His tone isn't angry, it's pleading, quiet, raw. She hesitates. "You're making this harder than it has to be." He laughs bitterly. "That's what people say when they've already decided." Another long silence. The only sound is the faint hum of static between them. He imagines her looking at the phone, wondering if this is the moment she should hang up. Wondering if it's kinder to leave before the damage gets worse. Finally she says, "We'll talk later." Her voice is small now, not confident, not cold, just tired. He nods, though she can't see it. "Yeah. Later." But when the line goes dead, he already knows there won't be a later. He sits there in the dark, the blue light of the phone fading against his palm. The echo of her voice lingers, soft, distant, fading like smoke. He wants to throw the phone across the room, wants to scream, wants to forget. But instead, he just sits, quiet, still, staring at nothing. Because it isn't the ending that hurts the most. It's realizing it ended quietly, without anyone saying goodbye. And somewhere deep down, he knows, tonight wasn't a conversation. It was the last echo of something that used to be love. It's been months since the call, long enough for the hurt to dull, but not enough for it to disappear. Time doesn't erase feelings. It just teaches you how to hide them better. He's learned to live without checking his phone every hour, without replaying their last words in his head. Or so he thought. Then he sees her again. It happens on a late afternoon in early autumn, the kind of day where the air feels like it's carrying something unfinished. He's at a cafe downtown, one of those quiet places she used to love because they played old jazz on vinyl. He's halfway through his coffee when the bell over the door rings, and that familiar laugh, soft, melodic, slices through the noise. His heart stumbles before his mind even catches up. She's there. Standing by the counter, scanning the menu like she hasn't already memorized it. Her hair's shorter now, softer around her face. There's a calmness about her, but also something else, something that looks like hesitation. He wonders if she feels it too, that sudden pull between memory and presence. For a while, he just watches her. The way she tucks a strand of hair behind her ear. The way she smiles politely at the barista. Every movement is achingly familiar. He used to be the reason behind those small gestures. Now he's just a stranger at a nearby table, watching the ghost of what they used to be. When their eyes finally meet, it's like the air thickens. She freezes mid-step, lips parting just slightly. Either of them speaks at first. There's too much to say, and too many ways to say nothing at all. He manages a smile, small, unsure. Hey! Her voice wavers when she says his name. It still sounds like home. They sit down together, because pretending not to would feel worse. The conversation starts simple: work, friends, weather. Safe topics. But beneath every word, there's tension, a pulse of everything they're not saying. Her laugh is quieter now, less free. When she reaches for her cup, he notices her hand tremble slightly. For a moment, he almost reaches across the table, instinctively, like he used to when she was nervous, but he stops himself. The space between them feels sacred now, like crossing it would be rewriting the past. She looks up suddenly, eyes soft. You look okay. He smiles faintly. Yeah. I am. It's a lie, but an easy one. They sit in silence for a moment, the kind that feels heavy but not painful. The kind that carries 1,000 unspoken apologies. He studies her face, the faint lines around her eyes, the calm that comes with age, the sadness that comes from remembering too much. Before leaving, she places a small napkin on the table. On it she's written, "It was good seeing you." Her handwriting is the same. Beautiful. Careful. When she walks away, he doesn't call her back. He just watches, memorizing the way the sunlight brushes across her as she steps out the door. He sits there long after she's gone, the napkin still in his hand. And as the cafe's jazz record changes to a new song, he whispers to himself, "It's strange, how the right person can still feel like a stranger, and the wrong moment can still feel like love." It happens on a night when the sky feels restless, the kind of night when the air smells like rain before it begins, when everything feels like it's waiting to break. He didn't expect to see her again so soon. They had agreed, or maybe just silently accepted, that their reunion at the cafe would be the end of it. But fate, or something that feels too close to it, pulls them back together. She texts him out of nowhere. "Can we talk?" It's short, cautious, almost formal. But he says yes anyway. Some doors, no matter how much they hurt, never fully close. They meet near the old park where they used to walk on quiet evenings. She's already there when he arrives, standing under the dim glow of a streetlight, arms crossed, as if holding herself together. The first few seconds stretch long, too long, before she finally says, "You came." He nods. "You asked?" The rain starts as a drizzle, the kind that barely touches the skin but soaks into everything anyway. She doesn't move. He doesn't either. There's something poetic, maybe cruel, about standing in the rain together again, like the universe is trying to wash away everything they never said. Her voice shakes slightly when she starts. I know I've been distant. He gives a tired laugh. That's one word for it. She flinches, not from his tone but from the truth in it. Her eyes glisten, though whether from rain or tears he can't tell. I thought I was doing the right thing, she says. For both of us. You have your whole life ahead of you, and I was just slowing you down. He looks at her, really looks at her, and feels that old ache return. You weren't slowing me down, he says softly. You were the only thing that made me stop rushing through it. Her breath catches. She takes a step closer, close enough that he can see the raindrops tracing down her cheeks. Then don't give up on us, she says suddenly. The words break out of her like she's been holding them for months. Please! For a second, everything stops, the rain, the world, his heartbeat. He's dreamt of hearing those words, imagined this moment in 100 ways. But standing here now, soaked and tired, he realizes it's too late. He shakes his head slowly. You already did. Her lips part, as if she wants to argue, but nothing comes out. Her face softens, eyes filling with the weight of understanding, the kind that comes too late to change anything. Either of them moves. The rain grows heavier, hitting the pavement in steady rhythm, like a soundtrack to the end of something beautiful. She finally whispers, I didn't mean to. I know, he replies, his voice barely audible. That's what makes it harder. They stand there in silence, two people who once fit perfectly, now separated by timing, by fear, by choices they can't undo. When she finally turns to leave, he doesn't stop her. He just watches her disappear into the blur of streetlight and rain, the echo of her words still hanging in the air. Don't give up on us. He closes his eyes, whispering to himself. You already did. And in that moment, love doesn't die. It just exhales its last breath. Morning comes quietly, the way it always does after a storm, like the world is trying to apologize for what it put you through. The sky is pale, washed clean. The streets glisten from the rain that fell all night, and somewhere in the distance, a car horn echoes lazily. But inside his apartment, the silence feels heavier than the thunder that came before it. Her scent is still on his jacket, faint, almost gone, but not enough for him to ignore. Jasmine and rain. It's how she always smelled after the evenings they spent together, walking home under streetlights, her hand brushing his sleeve as she talked about things that didn't matter, just to keep from saying what did. He picks up the jacket from where he dropped it last night, hanging limply over the chair. The fabric is still damp. He presses it to his face, closes his eyes, and lets out a shaky breath. It's strange, he thinks, how something can still feel warm even after it's over. He moves through his apartment slowly, almost methodically, making coffee, opening windows, pretending routine can erase the ache that's taken root in his chest. But every sound reminds him of her, the kettle's whistle, the creak of the floorboards, the hum of the fridge. They were the background to her laughter once. Now they're the echo of absence. He doesn't feel angry anymore. The anger burned out sometime during the night, drowned by the rain, maybe, or smothered by exhaustion. What's left is quiet resignation. The kind that comes when you realize that sometimes love isn't lost in a single moment. It fades in pieces, over time, until there's nothing left to fight for. He sits by the window with his coffee, watching people pass by, strangers rushing to work, kids splashing in puddles, a woman balancing an umbrella and a phone call. The world keeps moving, untouched by his private heartbreak. It's humbling, almost comforting. Life doesn't stop for pain. It never does. He pulls out his phone, not to text her, not anymore. Just to scroll through the last message she sent. Take care of yourself. Simple. Distant. A full goodbye disguised as kindness. He types out a dozen replies and deletes them all. There's nothing left to say that wouldn't sound like reaching backward. As he sets the phone down, He notices a small photo wedged between the books on his shelf, the two of them at the seaside last year, laughing with wind-tangled hair and squinting eyes. He takes it out, studies it quietly. It feels like another lifetime. He doesn't cry. He just exhales slowly, tracing the edge of the picture with his thumb before slipping it into the drawer. Not to forget, but to rest. He whispers to himself, "You can't save something someone's already let go of." The words feel heavier now, realer. Outside, the sun breaks through a thin layer of cloud. Light spills across the room, catching the dust in the air, making it shimmer. For the first time in a long while, he lets himself smile, not because he's happy, but because he finally understands. Love didn't fail. It just finished. And though the ache lingers, so does the gratitude, that for a little while, it was real. It's strange how healing never announces itself. It doesn't come with grand realizations or dramatic closure. It just sneaks in quietly, in the way you stop checking your phone, in how you no longer flinch at her name, in how the memory of her voice becomes softer, almost kind. Weeks have passed since that night in the rain. He's back to his routines, early mornings, late walks, quiet dinners alone. But something inside him has changed. The heaviness that used to sit in his chest like a weight is still there, but lighter, like he finally learned how to carry it. He doesn't avoid the places that remind him of her anymore. In fact, he visits them deliberately, not to hurt himself, but to see if they still hold power over him. The cafe where they met again still plays the same old jazz records. The park where they stood under the rain now smells of fallen leaves and distant bonfires. The bench they used to share creaks the same way it always did, and for the first time, it makes him smile instead of ache. He sits there one evening, hands in his pockets, watching people pass, couples holding hands, kids laughing, life moving forward. He used to envy them. Now, he just feels calm. Because he understands something now. Love isn't measured by how long it lasts, but by what it leaves behind. She taught him gentleness, not the kind you show others, but the kind you eventually learn to give yourself. She taught him patience, too, and the art of quiet courage, how to walk away without bitterness, how to love someone enough to let them go. It's near sunset when he sees her again, by chance. Across the street, under the fading light, she's laughing, really laughing, with someone else. A man roughly her age, his arm casually draped around her shoulders. The sound of her laughter reaches him faintly, carried by the wind, and for a brief second, time slows. There's no jealousy, no sting. Just a flicker of something bittersweet, relief, maybe, or gratitude. Because she looks happy. And isn't that what he wanted all along? He stands there quietly, half hidden in the golden haze of the evening. She doesn't see him. She doesn't need to. The world doesn't need to script another reunion for them. Their story already had its ending, quiet, painful, honest. This moment is just the epilogue. He watches as they walk away together, their figures growing smaller until they blend into the crowd. Then he exhales, deeply, peacefully, like he's finally letting go of a breath he's been holding for months. When he turns to leave, the city hums around him, car engines, footsteps, distant music, life unfolding as if reminding him it's waiting. He slips his hands back into his jacket pockets, a faint smile curving his lips. Under his breath, he whispers, "You already did, and that's okay." The words don't sound bitter anymore. They sound like acceptance, like forgiveness, like release. As the sun dips below the skyline, painting the world in soft amber, he feels something close to peace, fragile but real. Because sometimes love doesn't end in hate or regret. Sometimes it ends quietly, with gratitude, for what it was, for what it taught, and for the courage to walk away without turning cold. And for him, that's enough.